The controlling stake for Long Beach has been bought, what that means for NASCAR, and we got a bunch of new faces in new places for Richmond and Martinsville, so let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, the streets of Long Beach has been purchased. The other 50% has been purchased. Let's look at this article from Marshall Pruett at Racer Magazine. Forsyth to buy remaining Long Beach stake commits event to IndyCar. Any efforts by NASCAR, IndyCar, or Formula One to gain control of the 50% share of the Long Beach Grand Prix made available by the estate of the late Kevin Kalkoven will not meet their desired outcome. Gerald Forsyth, who purchased the country's biggest street race with Kalkoven in the 2000s, says the event's fate will be settled in a different way. The estate has agreed to sell its 50% stake to me, the industrialist and former owner of the Champ Car Series, told Racer. If any series has its sights on Long Beach, please tell them to look elsewhere. This is an IndyCar event and it will be into the future. It went on to say, despite having no interest in selling the event to NASCAR, Liberty Media, or Penske Entertainment, Forsyth says he wants to ensure IndyCar has a stable home as the event heads towards its 50th anniversary in 2025 and beyond. That's correct. That's very important. He said it is the top street course in the United States, and as far as fans, it draws more than any other race but the Indianapolis 500. Next year is the 50th year, and we're going to do a lot of new things to celebrate it. We're planning big things for next year. So to me, that's awesome news on several fronts, because IndyCar has just been, it seems like, just beaten down here recently. Like, everything just keeps going negatively and badly for them. So this is some positive news, and this is definitely some positive news that they needed, because it just seems like everything's going wrong. Because apparently Honda wants to leave, the thermal or whatever it was called, that didn't go well. So everything I've seen about IndyCar recently, those are just the first two that popped to mind. I'm far from an IndyCar expert. Seems to be trending in the wrong direction. So this is some positive news. Not only that, but he said he's going to make this event as big as possible, and it's gained every year in its 50-year history. You know, it just keeps building up to be a bigger and bigger deal. So I think all of that is great for IndyCar, and I'm glad from that perspective that they got it. And even as a NASCAR fan, when originally it was announced that NASCAR might get this race, I didn't feel great about it, because I don't want to steal a race from IndyCar. Like, that just feels like a terrible move to make overall. Like, I don't ever want to take somebody else's race date away because NASCAR just needs a race in that area. Like, NASCAR can do several other things to get a race in that area. You don't have to necessarily steal another track's race, but I'm going to get into more of that a little bit later. The next point I wanted to make is it's great that they didn't want to sell to NASCAR, they didn't want to sell to Liberty Media, and they didn't want to sell to Penske Entertainment. And I say that for this reason. They put on concerts and all kinds of other stuffs at that particular venue. I don't think that NASCAR or Liberty Media or even Penske Entertainment would even... They might do those things, but it wouldn't be high on their radar. I think the group that has it right now is probably the best group to have it, because they're going to look out for everybody in California. Yes, they're going to make the race big. They're going to make the race huge. They're going to do everything they can to promote that race, but they're also going to do everything they can to promote those events, because they want that area. They're probably from that area. They want that area to continue to grow and be a great place to go attend not only races, but, you know, other events like that. So from that perspective, I think it was also a really good thing that it was purchased by Forsyth and not one of these other groups. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch here is IMSA does have a race there. So you saw the Garage 56 entry for NASCAR. You could possibly in the future see NASCAR run with IMSA, so it's not necessarily a done deal that NASCAR won't go to this. I could definitely in the future see a combined event where you see NASCAR Cup Series cars on the same track as IMSA cars, a la that Garage 56 deal. Obviously, it wouldn't be the exact same spec as the Garage 56, but you get what I'm saying. There would just be Cup cars on there with the other series cars in there. I could see NASCAR making that work for an IMSA event over there at Long Beach, so I don't think that necessarily the door is all the way closed on NASCAR ever racing at IMSA or ever racing at Long Beach, but definitely it would not be a traditional NASCAR race as it stands right now, unless they can get something worked out with Forsyth where maybe they get another date. Maybe there's 3 Long Beach races. You get the IMSA, you get the IndyCar, and then later at another date or earlier in the season, you get, of course, the NASCAR race. So I don't think the door is completely closed on it, but I am glad that this particular group got the controlling interest in it as opposed to the other groups. All right, we got Richmond and Martinsville coming up, and some drivers are in new places. We'll start right here with J-Ski and Ty Dillon. This was announced a few days ago, but I wanted to save it until the actual race weekend. Kaulig Racing announces that Ty Dillon will make his first 2024 NASCAR Cup Series start in the number 16 Chevrolet ZL1 Camaro, Richmond Raceway on March 31st. I'm excited to be back with the NASCAR Cup Series with Kaulig Racing. This is the highest level of our sport and allows me to go out and prove what I can do with great leaders in Matt Kaulig and Chris Rice, Travis Mack, and the entire team. Kaulig Racing gives me the best opportunity to showcase what I can do on the track. We're excited to have Ty Dillon compete for Kaulig Racing this season in the NASCAR Cup Series, said Chris Rice, president of Kaulig Racing. With our continued success in the sport and support from Richard Childress Racing, it made perfect sense to lean on a veteran driver to help pilot the number 16. And here's the races he will run other than this weekend in Richmond. He will also race at Texas Motor Speedway, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Richmond again in August, and Kansas in September. So a couple things I wanted to mention here before I move on. This is definitely going to be the best equipment. As crazy as it sounds, I know Kaulig has struggled at times this year and has struggled since it came into the Cup Series. But by and far, I feel like this is the best equipment he's ever sat in. If you look at that 13 Geico car he was sitting in, that wasn't a great car. If you look at the Spire car that he sat in, that was not a great car either. So I would argue that this is quite possibly the best equipment that he has sat in his Cup career. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do with it. Now, obviously, everybody likes to clown on Silver Spoon and say stuff like that about Ty Dillon. But to be fair, he's just a guy chasing his dreams, and he can't help, who his grandfather was. So, this is the best equipment he's sat in, so we will see what he can do with it, and I will leave it at that. Now let's get to some other drivers that are going to be in new places. Bubba Pollard will be making his start for JR Motorsports at Richmond as well. He is a short track legend. A lot of people are excited to see him come get this deal done. This is something that I think a lot of people have wanted to see for a long time. So it's going to be interesting to see what basically race car Jesus, or whatever they call him over there, short track Jesus, can do in the Xfinity Series in JR Motorsports equipment at Richmond. I think a lot of people will have a sharp eye on that. Not only that, though, next weekend at Martinsville, Cam Waters will be making his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut with Thorsport. And this from J-Ski from his owner. Tickford Racing owner Rod Nash is confident the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series outing can only assist Cam in staying sharp and well-primed for the remainder of the season, despite a tough pair of opening supercar rounds. Anything that can provide Cam with further seat time is a bonus, said Nash. His foray into sprint car racing and now the NASCAR Truck Series provides a fantastic way for Cam to stay sharp and further test his skills. The timing being in between the AGP event and the, I can't even say that word, Talpo, also works well for our team, and wishing Cam well, and we will be watching with huge interest. And so that right there is what I'm talking about. Rod Nash, like if I was at that level as a race car driver, that would be a dude I would want to drive for. Like he is not like, oh, I don't want my driver to be driving in all these races. He might get hurt. He is like, no, this dude's going out here and getting seat time, and I love it. Now, something might happen. Life is crazy. You could walk across the road and get hit by a car. You never know when you're going to get injured or when an accident will happen, but I love his attitude toward this. He is not only excited about this, but he is, like encouraging him to get more seat time in whatever he can get, as long as it doesn't affect, him running in the Supercar Series. So I love this attitude from Rob Nash, and I wish more owners would take this attitude as well, because at one point I feel like we were all racers that are team owners and stuff like that, and I feel like they all had that attitude at one point, but then you just get more conservative the older you get, and they own these teams and they just want to protect everything. They go into this protective mode, and I just don't like it. I don't know any other way to say it. I love guys racing different stuff, and I wish all owners would have this particular attitude. All right, that is all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, I would love to have your subscription. If not, I'll keep on making these things. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate you all as well. If you got a question, comment about any of this stuff, leave it down in the comment section. I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. And if you want to help the channel out, there is a merch store. We got stickers, hats, sweatshirts, t-shirts, and I don't know what else we got up there. But we got stuff. The link is in the description. And other than that, have a good Friday. Thanks for your time. Peace.